All right, jumping into part 3 of the study guide for our final exam. Use the function h of x equals 12x minus 6 to answer the following questions. Select the 3 statements that are true. The x-intercept of the function is 6. Well, if we find the x-intercept, we're plugging in a 0 for y. Add 6 to both sides to solve for x. 6 equals 12x. Divide by 12. And we get 1/2 equals x. So no, the x-intercept is not negative 6. The x-intercept appears to be 1/2. The graph of h is also the graph of y equals 12x minus 6. Well, yeah, you can just replace your function notation with y. So that is true. The value of y is the input for h. So remember, when we talk about input, we're usually referring to x, not y. So I would say no here. The domain of h is all real numbers. So yes, that would be correct because this is essentially, if you kind of visualize it on a graph, this is going to be a linear function that's kind of steep. It has a y-intercept of negative 6, then a slope of 12. So it's going to have arrows basically, so it's going to keep getting wider and wider, and then also the range of h is all real numbers because it's going to keep going up forever and down forever. So our true statements here are B, D, and E. Part B, what is h of negative 3? Well, we're just going to plug it in. So h of negative 3 equals 12 times negative 3 minus 6. So we get negative 36 minus 6, or negative 42. Go ahead and finalize the structure here. All right, number 13. The function is graphed on the coordinate plane to the right. What are the domain and range? Well, this is a parabola, so it's going to keep on going down, down, down forever. And as it goes down, it's going to get wider and wider and wider and eventually touch all the x values furthest left and right. So our domain, we're just going to say all real values of x. With our squiggle parentheses. And our range, again, it's going to keep going down, down, down forever, but it does have this maximum here at 3. Just kidding, yeah, 3. So we're going to say all real values of y, or j of x, such that j of x stays less than or equal to 3, because that was our maximum right here at 3. Okay, this goes nicely into this next question. What is the maximum value of the function? Well, that's the y value here at its top peak, and that is 3. Over what interval is the function increasing? So here we look at where it is going up. So it appears to be going up here until this point, and then it comes back down. So it is increasing from infinity, from negative infinity, I should say, because this would be negative infinity. So all the way from negative infinity all the way to here where it comes back down. So right here we're looking for x values. We're looking for domain values. And it starts decreasing here at 0. So I would say from negative infinity to 0. You could also word that as an inequality if you wanted to. So like negative infinity less than x less than 0. All right, which point is a solution to the equation above? So basically you could look at the graph here to see if it's a solution, if it's a point on your parabola, or if it is basically you can plug it in and get a true statement here. So 0, 2, looking at my graph here, because I'm a visual person, so I'm going to use my graph. 0, 2 would be right here. That is not a point on the parabola. 3 zeros over here. That is also not a point on the parabola. So I would say no there. 1, 2 is right there, and that does appear to be a point on the parabola. And 1, -2 is down here, and that does not appear to be a point on the parabola. So just letter C there. Number 14. The first 5 terms of an arithmetic sequence are given. Write a rule for this sequence. Okay, so remember your arithmetic sequence, or A of n, is going to be your first term plus your common difference. Here it looks like we're going up by 4 each time, and then n minus 1. Interpret the statement A of 35 equals 128. So basically what this is saying, according to our sequence, is the 35th term in the sequence is 128. Okay. Number 15. Frank runs at a rate of 8 feet per second. Create a function where f of x gives the number of feet he runs given the number of seconds. So this one's pretty straightforward. Frank's distance traveled as a function of time is 8 feet times the number of seconds, since it's 8 feet per second. Number 16, Ian received a piggy bank for Christmas with $50 in it. Once a month, his parents give him $15 to add to his bank, so plus 15, plus 15. The table shows the amount of money in his piggy bank each month. How did the money in Ian's account change each month? Circle the appropriate words in the underlined portion to correctly complete the sentence. Each month, the amount in Ian's bank increased by $15, which is a constant rate of change. Up 15, up 15, up 15, increasing, and it's a constant number that's increasing by. Create a function where f of n models the amount of money in his piggy bank, and m is the number of months after the initial deposit. So to find out how much money he has, you're going to start with 50, and you're going to add $15 each month. D has to fertilize and water her plants every week. The amount of water must be no more than 5 times the amount of liquid fertilizer added. Let Z represent the number of ounces of water. So Z, and F is the amount of liquid fertilizer. We want to write an inequality to show the relationship between the water and the liquid fertilizer. So the amount of water, which is Z, must be no more than, so less than or equal to, 5 times the amount of liquid fertilizer. So fertilizer is F, so 5 times the fertilizer. Which of the following combinations allows D to treat her plants with the water and fertilizer while limiting the amount to no more than 5 times the fertilizer? So in other words, which of these statements is true according to our inequality, if we wrote our inequality correctly, which I think we did. So let's see. Z, here's our Z, ounces of water. Here's our F, fertilizer. So is 30 less than or equal to 5 times 10? No. Is 75 less than or equal to 5 times 15? Well, it's equal to, so that'd be fine. Is 120 less than or equal to 5 times 20? No, 120 is not less than 100. Is 150 less than or equal to 5 times 50? 150 is less than 250, so yes. And finally, is 300 less than or equal to 5 times 60? Well, it's exactly 300, so it looks like B, D, and E there. And I'm looking at our answer key that we posted for you guys. It looks like we said A was correct, and I'm just double checking here to make sure I didn't make a silly mistake, but I'm thinking 30 is less than or equal to 5 times fertilizer. 5 times 10 is 50. 30 is less than or equal to 50. That is true. Well, good thing I checked because that was silly. I didn't make a silly mistake. That is a true statement. Thank you to those of you that caught that. I appreciate it. Okay, so we have 4 answers there that are correct. All right, the function f, where f of y is 300y plus 1,000, represents the number of cows added to a growing dairy farm since opening in 2010. Y being the number of years since 2010. How many cows did the dairy farm have in 2016? So 2016 minus 2010 means that our y, or number of years since 2010, is going to be 6. So then we're going to plug that in. So we end up with 2,800. And that's cows. All right, part B, the function P, where P of X represents the percent of states in the country with dairy farms X years after 2000. What does P of 8 equals 85 represent? Okay, so what they're basically saying is that your X is 8, and then the output is 85. So the function P represents the percent of states in the country with dairy farms. That's your output. So this is X years after 2000. So 8 years after 2000. Here, this is saying in the year 2008, 85% of the states have dairy farms. So being able to interpret this equation given this information would be a big part of what they're trying to ask you to problem solve through. And I apologize, I threw us way far in the future there, didn't I? There we go. All right, number 19, what is the x-coordinate in the solution of the system of equations? What is your y-coordinate? Show your work. Okay, so this is going to be a basic substitution problem. I think the best way to solve this is to plug this in for y. So we have 3x plus 2 times y equals 44. So we have 3x plus 8x equals 44, which is 11x. And we divide both sides by 11, we get 4. So in our ordered pair answer, we'll actually ask for the y-coordinate, so we can just use that to find y. So y equals 4 times x, which happens to be 4. So y is 16. All right, number 20. Pepe earns $10 an hour working at a grocery store and $14 an hour delivering pizza. He wants to make at least $500 a week, but he can't work more than 40 hours. Write a system of inequalities representing Pepe's goal and the number of hours he works. Use G for his hours at the grocery store and P for his pizza delivery hours. Okay, so he earns $10 an hour working at a grocery store and $14 an hour. He wants to make at least $500. So 10 at the grocery store plus 14 at the pizza store, and he needs to make greater than or equal to 500 because he wants to make at least 500, and he cannot work more than 40. So his combined hours has to be less than or equal to 40 because he cannot go over 40. Which combination allows Pepe to work no more than 40 hours in a week and meet his goal of 500? So essentially it's saying which of these combinations, again, is a solution to this system of equations. So there's lots of different ways to do this. You could, plug and chug, or you could graph this and see if it's a solution to the graph, visually. If it were me, I'd probably graph it, but for you guys, I'll show you a plug and chug since I know that not everybody's visual. So we know that together they have to be less than 40. So I'm just going to go ahead and eliminate any of them that doesn't meet that requirement. So it looks like all of them are less than 40, so that's good. So really what we're focusing on is how much money they're making. So 10 times 9 plus 20, or excuse me, plus 14 times 20